Let me ask you something honestly. How many of you promise yourself in 2025, next year I will change? And how many of you are still carrying the same habits, the same fears, the same excuses? You see the calendar changed, but you didn't. And that is not because you are weak, it is because no one taught you how to rebuild, only how to survive. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunities. They fail because they keep waiting for the right mood, waiting for confidence, waiting for approval, waiting for the perfect moment when everything magically aligns. And the truth is that moment never arrives. Life doesn't send a notification saying, "No, you are ready." It simply keeps moving while we stand still, convincing ourselves that tomorrow will be better. We often believe that once things settle down, once responsibilities reduce, once fear disappears, when we will begin. But life doesn't become lighter before you grow stronger. You grow stronger by moving despite the weight. The perfect time is a confronting illusions we use to protect ourselves from discomfort. It feels safer to delay than to try and fail. But every delay has a hidden cost. It slowly teaches your mind you that your dreams are optional. When you wait too long, something dangerous happens. You start normalizing dissatisfactions. You wake up every day feeling slightly unhappy, slightly tired, slightly disconnected. And you tell yourself this is normal. But deep inside, you know it is not. You know you were mean more peace, more clarity, more purpose. Yet instead of listening to that inner voice, you silent it with business, distractions, and excuses. The mind loves comfort zones, even if they are painful. At least they are familiar. Stepping into change, feeling uncertain, and uncertainly scared us more than happiness. So we keep waiting for the change, not recognize that courage is not something you find it, something you build by action. Confidence doesn't come before actions, it comes because of actions. Think about how many times you told yourself, "I will start from Monday," or after this month's or next year's will be different. Years passes, calendars change, but habit remains the same. And slowly regret replaces hopes. Not regret for what you did wrong, but regret for what you never ever tried. Waiting also creates compromises. When you stay stuck, you start watching others moves ahead. Their growth become a reminder of your delay. And instead of feeling inspired, you feel discouraged. You forget that they were once uncertain too. They didn't wait for fear to disappear. They moved with fear in their hand. The uncomfortable truth is that this clarity comes after actions, not before it. You don't suddenly wake up knowing exactly what to do with your life. You discover it by doing something imperfectly. You adjust as you go. You learn while walking. Standing still never teach you anything. Every time you take a small step, your brain rewires itself. It learns that change is survival, that effect does not kill you, that progress is possible. But when you keep proponing, your brain learns the opposite, that avoidance is safe. And once avoidance becomes a habit, even small actions feel overwhelming. Rebuilding yourself in 2026 doesn't require a dramatical transformations. It required a decision, a quiet, honest decision that you will no longer wait for ideal conditions. You will start where you are with what you have you are, even if you feel scared, even if you feel unprepared, even if you feel tired. There is something deeply powerful about being before you feel ready. It sends a message to your mind that you are in control, not your emotions. That discipline can lead when motivation is absent, and that message change everything. Life rewards momentum, not intentions. The world doesn't depend to plan written in notebooks. It responds to actions taken in reality. And the moment you stop waiting, something shifts. Energy flows effect. Opportunities appears when you move, not when you hesitate. One day you will look back and realize that the moment you stopped waiting was the moment your life quietly began to change. Not loudly, not dramatically, not steady, peaceful and honest. And you will understand that the perfect time was never in the future. It was always the moment you dedicate to begin. Most people hold on to their past not because it was good, but because it is familiar. The mind perfects a no pain over an unknown possibility. And that is why letting go of who you were last year feels so uncomfortable. It feels like betrayal, as if changing means you are denying your own story. But growth is not disloyalty, growth is honesty. We often confuse identity by habits. We say, "This is just how I am," when in reality, it is just what we have practiced repeatedly. You were not born with procrastinations, self doubt, fear of speaking up, or the habit of settling for less. These were learned patterns, and anything that is learned can be unlearned. But first of must be written to willing to detach from the versions of yourselves that carries them. Holding on to your old self feels safe because it protects you from expectations. If you remain the same, no one expects more from you, including yourself. But the cost of that safety is silent regret. Every time you repeat an old pattern you have out, sometimes inside you feel heavy. That heaviness is not confusion. It is your inner intelligence telling you that you no longer belong there. Detaching doesn't mean hating you were. It's mean thanking that version of yourself for surviving with the role it had. That versions help you cope, help you endure, help you get through moments when you didn't know better. But survival is not the same as growth. What saves you once may now be limited. People stay stuck because they keep rehearsing their old story. They introduce themselves internally with labels. I am bad at consistency. I am not confidence. I always mess things up. Repeating these narratives keep you emotional tied to an outdated identity. And the mind works very hard to stay consistent with the story you tell it. The problem is not that change cannot. The problem is that you keep reminding yourself of who you used to. And even every reminder pulls you backwards. When you detach, you stop defending old beliefs. You stop explaining why you are the way you are. You simply accept that you are becoming someone new. Letting go of your old self can also feel lonely because some people around you are attached to that versions. They feel comfortable with the you didn't change them, didn't grow, didn't outgrow the room. When you change, they feel unsettled. And sometimes they were trying to pull you back, not out of hurts, but out of familiarities. This is where inner strength is tested because detach required courage. Courage to disappoint others. Courage to confuse people who like the old you. Courage to sit with the discomforts of becoming unfamiliar even to yourself. But remember this, you are not responsible for staying small to make others comfortable. Your old self had reasons. Your new self has responsibilities. Responsibilities to your future peace, responsibility to your potential, responsibility to the life that is waiting for you on the other side of this chase, and the responsibility is more important than saying loyal to a version of yourself that no longer fits. Detaching also means forgive yourself. You cannot rebuild while carrying guilt for yesterday. Guilt keeps you anchored to the past. Forgiveness loosens that grip. You did the best you could with the awareness you had. Now you know more. And knowing more invites you to do better. As you step into 2026, understand this deeply. You are allowed to change without explanations. You are allowed to want more without apologies. You are allowed to redefine yourself even if no one understands the new direction yet. Growth often happens quietly because it before it becomes visible. When you detach from you who were, you create space. Space for new habits, space for new confidence, space for a calm mind, space for a strong identity that is built consistently, not accidentally. And in that space, rebuilding become possible. One day, you will look back at the version of yourself you were holding on to and realize it was not your truth. It was just a chapter. Important, yes, but not the whole book. And the moment you let that chapter end, you gave yourself permissions to write a far better one. The people around you shape you more than you realize. Not through what they say, but through what they normalize. Slowly, silently, their habit become your habits. Their mindsets become your mindsets, and their limits start feeling like your limits. That is why growth often feels so difficult because you are trying to change while remaining by what keep you the same. Many people believe that loyalty means staying connected no matter the cost. But loyalty without wisdom becomes self-sabotage. You can love people and still recognize that their presence is draining your energy, clarity, and ambitions. Not everyone who has access to your life deserves influence over your future. When you begin to rebuild yourself, your environment become very loud. Some people will discourage you openly. Others will do it subtly through jokes, doubt, or passive negativity. They may not intend harm. Often they are simply uncomfortable watching you break patterns they never had the courage to questions. Energy is contagious. Spend time with people who complain consistently and your mind slowly learn to see problem before possibilities. Stay around those you are complain and effort beings to feel unnecessary. This is not about judging others. It is about understanding impact. The mind absorbs what it is exposed to. One of the hardest clarity in life is this. Some relationships are not bad. They are just expired. They serve a purpose on once. Championship, sport, family. But as you evolve, the relationship stop feeling your growth and start fading your stagnation. Holding on out of history alone is emotional attachment, not wisdom. Auditing your inner circle doesn't mean cutting everyone off dramatically. It means overserving how you feel after interactions. Do you feel inspired or exhausted? Clear or confused? Motivated or drained? Your emotions are honest indicators. They reveal whether a collection is nurturing you or slowly empathizing you. Sometimes the drain is not emotional but mental. Being around people who continuously doubt, fear, change, or radical ambitions trains your mind to shrink its own dream. You start ending yourself before even trying. You stop sharing ideas. You stop believing fully, and eventually you stop becoming. There is also the change of guilt. You may feel self-ill for watching distance. You may worry about being judged, misunderstood, or labeled as arrogant. But growth often required choosing long-term peace over short-term comfort. You are not obligated to remain accessible to everyone simply because you once were and you will. Sorry. As you grow, your standards change, not just for life, but for conversations, values, and energy. You start craving depth instead of drama, encouragement instead of criticisms, growth instead of gossips. And this shift naturally reduces your circle. This is not loss. This is alignment. Another uncomfortable truth is that some people believes benefits from the old version of you. They benefit from your silence, your overgiving, your lack of boundaries. When you begin to rebuild yourself, they may resist. Not because you are wrong, but because the dynamic is changing and change threatens comforts. This phrase can feel lonely. But loneliness during growth is temporary. Staying surrounded by the wrong people create a deeper, more permanent loneliness. The loneliness of being unseen, unsupported, and unfulfilled. Choose the loneliness that lead to expansions, not the one that lead to regret. Auditing your inner circle also include how you engage digitally. The content you consume, the voice you listen to, the message you reply in your mind, they all count as company. If you countly feed your mind negative compassions or unrealistic standards, rebuilding become harder. Rebuilding yourself in 2026 required courage to protect your energy, not aggressively, not angrily, but intentionally, with calm clarity. You doesn't need to announce your boundaries, you just need to leave them. Over time, sometimes beautiful happens when you create space, the right people appear, people who speak possibly, who respect your growth, and being around them feeling lighter, not heavier. One day you will realize that changing your inner circle doesn't take you lonely. It make you focused and didn't make you cold. It make you selective. And most importantly, it gave you the environment your new self need to breathe, grow, and finally becoming real. Most people wait to feel motivated before they begin. They tell themselves, when I feel inspired, I will work harder. And when I feel confident, I will be consistent. But motivation is emotional, and emotional are unstable. They rise and fall with sleep, mood, praise, failure, and circumstances. If you if your progress depends on how you feel, your growth will always be fragile. Discipline, on the other hand, does not negotiate with emotions. It does not ask whether you are tired, bored, doubtful, and afraid. It simply asks one questions. What needs to be done today? And then it done it quality repeatedly without drama. This is why discipline changes lives with motivation only exists that temporary. Motivation feels powerful in the beginning. It gave you energy, excitement, and big promises. But it fades the moment discomfort appear. The moment's results are slow. Thank you very much.